Well, the subject of the causes of the Great Depression has been controversial from 1929 forward, and the sorry fact is that there's very little consensus amongst historians or economists or economic historians as to exactly what happened. It's a singularity in modern history. There have been business cycle downturns, to be sure, and recessions, but nothing on the scale or of the durability of the Great Depression of the 1930s. So our historical explanations for it are really still kind of thin and not fully satisfactory. But in the American case, and it's important to remember that the Great Depression is a worldwide global phenomenon, so that all explanations for the Depression that begin with an analysis of the United States are already suspect, because the United States is only one of many, many, many societies that are swept up in this event. But in the American case, the Depression was particularly severe because it occurred at a time when the institutional structure of the country was quite brittle and fragile in the face of a shock like this. The banking structure was weak. We had 25,000 banks. Countries of comparable size to ours had maybe one or two or three dozen banks. So their banking institutions were much more robust and resilient, could stand a shock like this, but ours were by and large tiny, frail little institutions that just were consumed by it. So the weaknesses in the banking structure was something that made the Depression very severe in this country. And then a lot of economists and economic historians point to the fact that by the end of the 1920s, the country had run out a cycle of technological innovation, of bringing new products into the marketplace that stimulated the economy and stimulated consumption. Things like automobiles, radios, and electrical appliances were the great novel consumer items of the 1920s, and the market had been largely saturated for those by 1929, and for reasons that we haven't fully determined, a successor generation of technological innovation seemed to be stalled. No new innovations in production or in consumption were really visible on the horizon. So you put all these things together about the playing out of the cycle of technological innovation, the weakness of the banking structure in this country, and then in the background, probably the single most important factor, although it's a very diffuse and general factor, was just the great shock to the entire international economic system occasioned by World War I, which drained the resources of the major industrialized countries, Britain, France, Italy, the United States, and so on, badly damaged Germany, France, Italy, and the United Kingdom, and just left them in a very weak position going forward into the 20s and 30s.